Okay, so I think what I was saying earlier, we have Lights Out, which I forgot was coming in, but I did like Lights Out to some extent last time, and I think we're also getting, we got new skins, which I'll check out soon. I'm not really gonna buy them, but I still like to see what new things they have. And I believe we have some developer updates, which I think I'll pull up and go through some of the things. I did read through most of the perk descriptions or the changes for the perks, but I also want to see what stuff they did to the killers, and I have not read through the killer stuff, and that's the stuff that I'm probably the most excited about. So let's see. Let's bring it up. I'm going to turn down the music for Dead by Daylight because it's a little intense for what we're doing right now. Okay, let's see. So, developer update. They're finally bringing in the finishing Mori, and the killer can now perform the Mori on the final survivor using an offering. So you still need to bring an offering, but with each increasing rarity of the offering, I think it gives you additional blood points when you kill the survivor, which is good. And they're also preventing obstructions from the camera view when the Mori animation happens. So that's good too. I'm not super sure how I feel too much about this. It's okay. It's probably just like a quality of life kind of thing, which is fine. Nothing too big, I want to say. I rarely ever used Moris except on the occasional time when I would get the, what do you call it, the dailies or a challenge asking the killer to kill a survivor by any means or something like that. So yeah. Okay. Next, we got a lot of survivor perk updates. Some of these I read through and I'm kind of in agreement with, and other ones I'm not super sure how I feel about them. But let's see. Power 2 is getting a buff where I think every time you heal a survivor, you get haste, I believe. They're increasing the range to 16 meters. It was 12 meters at max. It doesn't have a cooldown, which is good, I think. And it won't deactivate when a survivor loses a health state. So that sounds good. Let's see. I feel like... No, Power 2 is the one where you finish generators. Oh, isn't it? No. That's friendly competition. This perk grants a speed boost. Yeah. I think that's a good change. It doesn't sound too bad. Collective stealth. Pretty similar. 60 meters. Remove the cooldown. This effect will linger for a few seconds when out of range. That's pretty good too. Re-entering this range before the... Oh, that's pretty good actually. I like that. Nothing too major. So far it's so good for these two perks. I rarely ever see them get used, so... Same with corrective action. And I think this one's actually gonna be... Now applies to survivors within 8 meters. Failed skill check now becomes a great skill check. So it was a good skill check. So... I feel like this is actually subtly really good in some way, where like if you are working on a generator with a survivor and you know that they have preventive or corrective action, because I think on the HUD it shows you at the bottom that a player has corrective action. I think from what I'm understanding, you could entirely fail a skill check and it will automatically become a great skill check. So, I mean, technically, it's like you purposely fail and you're still getting great skill checks without the stress of having to land the great skill check. So, I think this is kind of subtly kind of good, but I doubt that it'll still get much use. Okay. Inner focus, I rarely ever see this perk being used, either by myself or other people. It just increases, they're increasing the duration of the aura reading, and they remove the range when you see the survivor being downed. But real quick, I'm going to BRB for 1 little second, sorry. Okay, I'm back. So inner focus, I'm not really sure. I don't know how useful this is honestly going to be. Like, it might be useful in situations where you don't want to get killed by the killer, or when you're trying to like go for flashlight saves. So I'm not really sure how useful this will be, but we'll see. We're gonna live forever. So I really do like this because they're increasing the speed at which you heal survivors from the dying state, I believe. So that's good. You don't have to activate endurance, which I think was a really kind of convoluted way of activating endurance when you're trying to pick up survivor. So I like this change as well. And a cooldown on the endurance effect. That's good. Yeah. So far so good. These changes are good. Poised. When you first start repairing a generator, you see the killer's aura for 6 seconds. I like this. This is pretty good, I think. Is it... But I do have a question. Is it only when you start a generator, or can you like do it multiple times when you're like restarting to work on the generator? That's kind of what I'm wondering. I'm not really sure. We'll need to see when the PTB comes out and stuff. But I think this is pretty useful, especially like if you're injured and trying to keep doing like your objectives and stuff. This is probably pretty good. That way you know if the killer is nearby if you start doing a generator while injured. So I like this change. Blood Rush. I still need to see the full description of this one. I saw it earlier. I was reading it earlier, and I'm still not super sure what it's gonna do. So I think it's missing some description information on this whole little paragraph, I want to say, or the section. So I can't really say anything because it says that it activates for 60 seconds after being unhooked. And I believe... How did it work before? I believe you... This is such a weird perk. Honestly, I'm just going to skip this part and go to the next one because I don't really know what Blood Rush does at the moment, and I think that's... Yeah, I'll just need to see the full description when the PTB comes out or released. Okay. Quick Gambit. When chased, you see the auras of other survivors. That's good. It's like Bond. That's pretty good. Quick Gambit now has a 60-second cooldown upon losing a health state. I think that's fair. It's not... Actually, I think this is a little too punishing. I'm not sure how useful this is actually going to be, or how needed it is, because I do see Quick Gambit ran by other survivors every now and then, but even then it's like, it's not a huge increase. I do like that they're removing the range, but the two things I'm not really too sure about if they're needed is the reduced repair speed bonus. It might be needed since they did remove the range, so this might be able to be fine. But I don't know if it needs a 60-second cooldown. You could probably reduce it down to 30 and it still would be fine. I don't think this is a perk that a lot of people are going to be running, in my opinion, but I could be wrong. So honestly, they could also either probably release it at 60 seconds and then eventually just nerf it down, or nerf it up or down, depending on... Sorry, buff it or nerf it, depending if it's not doing too well on live servers and stuff. Okay. Distortion, the one perk that a lot of people hate, which I don't blame them. I also don't really like people running Distortion. Okay. So, It no longer has tokens, and it deactivates once used until the next time you are chased. I think this is a fair change. This just means that you do have to interact with the killer in some manner to get distortion value. So I'm not too mad about this. This is pretty useful still, I would say. You can still get quite a bit of value from it. Yeah, I'm not too bad about the change. What they could have done probably too is like you could have probably given them like 2 tokens and then just replenish a maximum of 2 tokens per chase, I would say. But this is also fine. I think this is okay. Lucky Star. So it's going to increase the... Let's see. Oh, so now the killer won't be able to hear you or see your pools of blood when you're in a locker. And this effect continues for 30 seconds after exiting the locker. That's a pretty good change. I like it. It's not too bad. And whenever you exit the locker, it doesn't show survivors or generator auras. I don't know why they removed this. This is kind of like a nice little useful thing. There might be, maybe they're planning to reuse this for some sort of perk or something, so we'll see. But pretty good change, I want to say. Genetic limits. So I think this is probably one of the best ones that I saw. So whenever you injure a survivor, or anytime a survivor loses a health state, they are now exhausted. So this perk is I want to tentatively say that this is going to be an S tier perk. Maybe A tier. Like, genuinely. And you'll probably see this perk being ran on probably a lot of M1 killers, because yeah, I would say M1s would benefit the most from this, but also, I mean, Spirit's kind of an M1, so I think this is probably going to be ran by a lot of Spirit players too, and I like it. I like it. It's pretty good. I'm not mad about it. It doesn't seem too over the top, so I'm not. Yeah, I like it. It seems like a good perk, honestly. Might be a little strong, but yeah, I like the change. Genetic limits needed some sort of change. Okay, leverage. So this is just going to reduce healing speed for the 30 seconds after survivors unhooked, which I'm not really too mad about either, but I feel like, I don't know, I feel like it might encourage tunneling now that I think about it. I'm not sure if this perk is gonna be safe on live servers as it is. It's a little bit of a like a tunnely perk, so I'm not really too sure about this. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know what they can do with this perk. I like the idea of like reducing healing speed, but it just feels a little tunnely. Like, especially if you're playing like a high mobility killer like Billy or Blight, you could just come back to the hook and either get the survivor onto a mending state or something. And yeah, I'm not too sure about this one. Thwack. So now you start with 3 tokens, gain 1 token. Gain 1 token upon hooking a survivor. When breaking a pallet or break a wall, consume 1 token and cause survivors within 24 meters to scream and reveal locations for 3, 4, 5 seconds. Yeah, this is a pretty good change. I do think it was pretty weak, since you had the requirement of you having to hook a survivor before you could use it, and now that you have like at least 3 tokens at the beginning, this will definitely get some use. I really do like this perk on Blight, because I find that this is probably going to be pretty fun on Blight, Nemesis, Billy, any killer that can just instantly chew through pallets. Thwack is pretty fun on Blight. especially since I can also kind of chew through pallets and I play Blight quite a bit. So it's fun, and I I know it's not strong, but I don't particularly like that survivors will blind me at pallets. I just find it annoying, and I think thwack can help since it'll force them to scream. So that's pretty fun, I think. It's a fun perk, I want to say. All right, machine learning. So now you only have to hit a generator once to have it be compromised. I think this is a pretty good change, but I think it's gonna make machine learning a whole lot more stronger. I think. Um, I've had a few matches where I've probably gotten machine learning value like a maximum of 3 times. Um, and I think with this, you could see machine learning getting value like probably every time, like at least 5 times or around 5 times, I would want to say, if the killer is consistently kicking gens and stuff. So it is a good change because it was a little convoluted to kick a generator once and then kick a different generator or kick the same generator again. But I think this is probably going to make machine learning a little strong. Maybe. But I think machine learning gets really strong when you pair with other perks. So it's got good synergy with perks like Deadlock and Tinker. So I'm not too sure. I want to be able to see how it performs on live after like a few weeks and see if it's too strong. But I don't want to say that it's going to be OP or anything at this moment. Okay, Deathbound. If I remember correctly, Deathbound just makes a survivor that finishes a heal state oblivious for like 60 or 30 seconds or something like that. It no longer requires a distance. And Deathbound no longer has a duration and instead deactivates. Oh, that's pretty... Well, that's pretty strong, actually. That's a pretty good change. I don't know how useful it'll be. Honestly, I kind of forget that this perk exists as well. So, who knows? Yeah, I don't know how often this will get used, but that's a pretty good change. Sanction Tactics. So now killers will be able to see a survivor's aura within 6 meters of a drop pallet if the killer is within 16 meters of the pallet's location, I'm assuming. I think it's a good rework. I don't know how useful it'll be, especially since sometimes as a killer, you don't want to be leaving behind pallets unbroken, because it just gives survivors a few more resources for vaulting and stuff like that. So I'm not too sure, but I mean, then again, like, how often do people actually use Sanction Tactics? So yeah, probably a decent change. But I did like the idea of like a perk that lets you know where survivors' resources are, and now that they're changing it, it does make me feel a little bit like there's gonna be a gap for that. But maybe, hopefully, they're planning on releasing new general perks or something, and maybe they're gonna replace whatever was Sanction Tactics onto a general perk. Hopefully, I kind of want to see that. So maybe that's what they're going for. Let me have a drink of water first, or tea. I have black tea. Okay, Dead Man Switch. So this is probably the one perk that I read before I started today's stream, and I thought was probably going to be a little over the top. I do like that it only applies now to like a single generator at max, but it does increase the duration to 50 seconds and instead of 30. 50 seconds. That's a lot. That's, I think, even more than Deadlock at at its like current state. That's insane. So that means that you could potentially get dead man switch value. Like, let me just do some quick math. So let's say I want to say like on average I get 9 hooks on a game. So 9 times 50 seconds, that's 450 seconds divided by 60. So you could potentially block generators for a whole 7 minutes, 7.5 minutes. I'm not too sure about this change. This is the one perk that I'm very tentative about, because this seems like a big time to block a generator. But I was also thinking while I was reading this earlier that you, like in a well-coordinated team of survivors, you could potentially use this against the killer. So if you have a generator that has a lot of progress or very close to being finished, you could block it for 50 seconds and prevent any generation from being applied to the generator. So it could be good, or it could be kind of used against the killer if survivor players are smart about it. Or you could also block generators that have just barely been started. So it could be used against the killer in some ways. So I'm not too upset about this. I think the one thing they might need to change is that it can only be applied to one generator at a time. So we'll see. This is the one perk that I'm really cautious about. Blood Echo doesn't have a cooldown now. Oh, but they reduced the duration to 30 seconds. I mean, I guess it's okay. I mean, no cooldown is good. I like that. But reduced duration? Again, I think this could be buffed, but it might be too strong, so we'll see. It could still be pretty useful. It'll probably be useful on like really strong killers, since they can almost get hooks pretty fast. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. This could still be useful. Okay, crowd control, the perk that gets cleansed right away. The last, I haven't read past this Blood Echo one. Let's see. 3, 4, 5, 1. The last. Oh, that's pretty fun, I guess. I don't know how strong it'll be, but yeah. I mean, honestly, I think they just need to rework actual hex locations to make them a little more hidden. Or yeah, I think they just gotta make sure that hexes are a little more hidden than out in the open or something like that, which I think was the biggest issue with hex perks at the moment, since a lot of survivors now know hex spawn locations. So yeah. Besides that, I think it's fine. It's a fine change. I don't know how useful it'll be, but it'll be fine. Okay. When a survivor escapes the chase, they reveal their aura for 6 seconds. Wait, sorry, what? Predator when survivor escapes the chase, reveal. Oh, that's fun. That's good. I'm glad they're reworking a Predator is it Wraithsburg? I think it's Wraithsburg. That's good, actually. I like this. Yeah, I like this. This is not too bad. This is a pretty good one. Predator beforehand or at its current state is very weak, so this will be a nice little change. It's a little odd that they're adding so many aura revealing effects to so many perks, but since it hasn't been like that for so long, and I think in the last year or so they've really like gone ham on aura revealing, which it is fun, don't get me wrong, but it feels a little aura heavy at the moment, so we'll see. But I like this. This is a good change. You could probably even change it to like revealing or having them scream or something, or yeah, and it would still probably be pretty good. Okay. Okay, before I start reading this, let me have a good drink of water, because some of these I haven't read any of this, and this is the juicy parts. This is going to be the juicy parts. Okay. The Skull Merchant. Okay. Okay, so they're keeping the hindered effect when you are scanned by a drone to 5, but they're reducing it to 5%. I like that they're reducing it. I don't know how needed it was as a Skull Merchant, since you're already getting like haste. But we'll see. Remove the Skull Merchant. Okay, that's good. That I like this part. So I think one of my so my two biggest pet peeves with Skull Merchant at her current state is that she gets hasted whenever a survivor gets scanned, and if you're not keeping track of how often your survivor teammates are getting scanned, it can feel like Skull Merchant is like speeding up at random intervals, and that's really difficult to keep track of, especially when you're being chased by her. So her chases feel very, I want to say, miserable, but yeah, they feel kind of miserable, and it feels like you can't really do much against it, since she just like catches up to you like almost instantly. So I do like that they're removing this, but I think that was one of the biggest things to her power. Okay, which I mean, they on the dev note they did address that, so I like that. I don't mind that they're keeping the hindered penalty. Reduce the number of drone scan lights to reduce the numbers. Whoa, that's a change. That's crazy. That's actually crazy. So there's only a single scan line now instead of 2? Drones are now... Okay. Okay. Actually, I don't hate this too much. So the one thing they are keeping though is the undetectable thing, which was another thing that I wasn't too sure about. That she kind of just gets undetectable whenever she wants. So yeah, I want to see how this plays out, honestly, because she's not a strong killer, and sorry, I had to burp. She's not a strong killer, but I don't really like the whole undetectable thing. I think my biggest problem with Skull Merchant is that it feels like she's just missing identity. And I think with her, them keeping it or putting in these changes, I don't know that I like this, the whole scan lines to 1. They could honestly probably just keep it to 2 and it should be fine, but that's just my idea. Yeah, she doesn't really have a huge identity, I think, at the moment, and that's probably one of her biggest problems as a killer too. So I think their behavior is probably planning on putting in these changes and then just kind of letting her be for a few years and see what happens, and maybe they'll come up with a new change to her, because yeah, a lot of people just don't like going up against Skull Merchant. So we'll see. Okay, Hillbilly. Decreases the time before overdrive starts to dissipate to 8 seconds, was 15 seconds. Wait, decreased the sorry, I never play Hillbilly, so I'm trying to read this and try to understand it. Decreases the time before overdrive. Oh, okay, so this is a nerf to his overdrive. That's good. I like that. His overdrive is probably the strongest part of his kit right now. And especially with... So I think my biggest problem with Hillbilly at the moment, or Billy, is that it can feel like he gets rewarded for playing poorly. And what I mean by that is that whenever he's when a hillbilly player is missing their chainsaws, it feels like they're just gonna be rewarded regardless, because they are gonna get overdrive and they're gonna get that big boost in power where they're more likely to get it down. I think that's my biggest problem with it. But besides that, I don't think this is a huge nerf from the sounds of it. Decreasing the movement speed during overdrive, and they're also decrease the gain while revving and sprinting to 1 point. Okay, this is just nerfs to his overdrive, and okay, that's pretty good too. They are increasing the cooldown after he misses an attack, because that does feel pretty bad when you as a survivor manage to outplay a Billy or something, and he can immediately go for an M1. That feels unrewarding, I think is the right word that I want to use for that. It feels unrewarding for the survivor to outplay a Billy when a Billy can just immediately M1 you. So that's a good change. Nothing too major, and I think they want to keep it at minor changes because they obviously don't want to get huge backlash after buffing him so severely. And then imagine, and if behavior suddenly you nerfed him back down, then yeah, these are pretty good changes. Very minor, but I think definitely needed. Okay, twins. Increases Victor's cooldown when crushed to 20 seconds. Okay, that's good. I like that. That just means that you as a twins player can't go around just throwing Victor nilly-willy and stuff. That's a good change. It means you have to be more precise with your pounces and stuff like that. Increases the cooldown after Victor downs a survivor to 3.2 seconds. Increases the cooldown after a survivor... Sorry, I'm trying to understand it. Okay, yeah, that's good. It just helps prevent snowballing. I mean, Twinza at its current state is strong and consistent, but good survivor teams will be able to outmaneuver and manage outplaying a Twins, I think. So this is a pretty good change, I want to say. And besides, I think Charlotte has tons of add-ons that could help with the cooldown and things like that. Okay, let me get another drink of water because I've been talking a whole lot. And trying to make sense of all this on the fly. Okay, unknown. Probably the one change that I've been really... Ooh, and that's pretty much it. Okay. An unknown. Let's see. Well, what was I saying? So, probably the one killer who's hopefully buffs. I haven't quite read this. So, who's hopefully getting some buffs, because he does need just tiny little tweaks to his base kit. Okay. New HUD update to display teleport cooldown and hallucination spawn time. Okay, that's interesting. I like that. It can be a little hard to keep track of when you're able to teleport and when it's... You can tell when your hallucination's about to spawn, that's fine. But maybe they're gonna make it a little more... Whoa. Sorry, in Southern California, and we just keep getting little minor earthquakes. So I just felt my house shake for a little bit. Anyways, um, let's see, where was I? Update to special. Okay, so yeah, I think they do need to make like some sort of HUD display to show you when your teleport's about to come on. I like that. Movement speed now decreases sooner when charging your power. Wait. Movement speed now the movement speed. wait, sorry, my brain's so slow right now. Movement speed now decreases sooner when charging. Okay. So this just means I think that you shouldn't be able to like zone survivors so easily by just holding your power and preventing them from like thinking that you're about to hit them. I think that's what that means. Increases recovery speed after teleport. That's like, I think that's blurry photo base kit now, which I don't think you needed to add blurry photo base kit, but it will be nice. So that's good. Adjustments to blurry photo and vanishing. Yeah, makes sense. Improved visual. What? That's it? That's it? Huh. Wait. What? That's it? That's it? That's all our... What? Oh, man. Honestly, I was really hoping that they'd probably, like, extend the... that they would extend the hallucination window when you... so that you're able to, like, consistently use your power, but... I mean, I don't think it needed, like, a huge extension, but I was thinking, like, about a second or maybe less than a second. But, wow, that's sad. Maybe though, maybe if he's not performing as good as, I don't know, we'll see. I do like most of these changes. I'm not sure about this. And I'm not sure about the fact that they didn't add a little bit of an extra window for hallucinations. Oh well. Yeah. I think that's pretty much it. Some pretty good stuff. Alright. Let me just close this window then.